Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about my top 10 portfolio holdings. They are not going to be in a specific order. I know that I did rank my top three by value in my other video. This one is going to not be in a specific order. They're just going to be my top 10 holdings, what is in my top 10, why they are in my top 10, and we are going to break them down in depth from start to finish and really kind of talk about some details around them. And yes, this is my $10 million portfolio bet. Does that mean that I have $10 million invested into this? No, not at all. I'm just saying at the end of the day, my end goal with these 10 tokens is to make an accumulated $10 million from them. Will it happen? Who knows? It's not guaranteed, but that is my end goal off of them. My end goal is always, time, not money. 10 million will buy me quite a bit of time. It will allow me to pursue other venture, capital funds and things like that around, real estate, other projects, being an early investor into some other startups and stuff like that I do have planned going forward. So let's dive in. Let's stop wasting time and let's talk about my top 10 holdings. So this market is filled with a ton of tokens. It's very hard to find a lot of undervalued gems. Some of these gems that I am going to be talking about are well-known projects, and if you guys do watch my videos, you will understand why they are in my top 10. But I will also break down why these specific tokens are in my top 10, as well as the value proposition behind them. So starting with number one, we are going to be talking about HBAR in this video. Again, not a specific order. This is not my number one holding. XDC as well as Zinfin Network. I think that this one is also very good. Again, not a specific order. Casper. Again, you guys probably know about all three of these tokens if you do watch my videos. Quant. Again, Quant is always going to make its rounds in regards to my portfolio. I love this token. We will talk about why. XRP. Again, always going to be in my top 10 holdings just simply because of the tech stack. Alliance Block as well. Alliance Block is very, very early in regards to what they are building. I am taking a big bet on this one long term. The graph is a early on token that a lot of people are probably all aware of. And I think that this is going to surprise a lot of people going into the next major cycle. Algorand, again, if you are paying attention to like ISO tokens, Algorand will definitely be in your portfolio most likely. If it's not, I definitely advise everyone to go check it out because I do think that this is a blue chip project. We will be, talking about that a little bit and really kind of addressing it in this video as well. Last two, LCX. LCX, I don't even think I need to break down why LCX is probably extremely undervalued, but we will talk about it. And then last but not least, Aleph Zero, A0. So let's talk about a few of these projects. Let's talk about what makes them, special. What is really kind of, turning my gears in regards to really investing into these tokens. Why I think that the long-term longevity behind these investments is going to be very lucrative, and why I do think that these 10 tokens could possibly net me $10 million. So, starting with HBAR, powering Web3, huge CBDC plays, disrupting enterprise workflows, etc. So, the use case application here is just a brief description on why I personally think that these are great tokens. When we really kind of look at what Hedera is doing, it is very similar to Casper here, where it is years ahead of Ethereum tech. But also, when we really kind of look at what Hedera has been doing, they have been building out their Web3 ecosystem greatly recently. They also have been seeing a ton of retail adoption of some of the use cases within the NFT sector, within DeFi. Their DeFi, tech stack offering and project offering has been growing rapidly, with TVL, being astronomically increasing on a day-to-day basis. So I do think that HBAR going into the next major cycle is going to be a big bet. Again, remember, tokenomics do matter. The tokenomics on Hedera have been a little bit rough recently, with a ton of the supply being released on HBAR holders, and I know that kind of sucks, but remember, there is a 50 billion capped supply that I do think is right around the range as like XRP and some of the other major tokens that we do talk about. Do I think that the 50 billion total supply is going to hurt HBAR long term? Absolutely not. I think that when we look at HBAR going into the next major cycle, I am looking at the $3 to $6 range. Is it going to morph into reality? Who knows? We don't know at all. Price predictions don't really matter all that much, but I will say this: HBAR is one of my biggest picks. It is also one of my biggest bets around the future tech stack within crypto. And then next is XDC. So We've been talking about XDC for a while, really kind of been focused on what the World Economic Forum is looking at within trade finance. We've been paying attention to like the ITFA, DNI initiative, and things like that. Also paying attention to Andre Casterman, what he is talking about in regards to digitizing trade finance. There's $19 trillion within this market that could be fully disrupted. That 1.7 trillion dollar gap that needs to be filled. Zinfin is really kind of, focused on that. XDC is not the token that they will be utilizing within that sector. Traded token will be, but it's going to be backed by XDC liquidity, which provides a ton of value and volume to be ushered over that network utilizing XDC as the settlement token, which means XDC as a token is going to increase substantially in value once that does take place. When will that happen? We don't specifically know, but they have been making a ton of major innovations and movements within that area, which I'm very excited about. Also, it is also focused on Web3, the metaverse, and a lot more. So definitely take a look into XDC if you haven't already. And this is a very undervalued token. It is sitting at about $334 million in market cap, about $1 billion in fully diluted. I know that that seems astronomical compared to most projects, but at this current moment in time, where it is sitting at about almost 3 cents, the all-time high is almost 20 cents. So it has a nice upside move here. It did recently break down to about 2 cents, so it could have been like almost an easy 10x opportunity there. But I do think long term, 30 cents is most likely in target for the next major cycle, which could easily be a 10x opportunity. But who knows exactly where XDC network could go? If we are looking at like tokenomics, the 37.7 billion that is in total supply is right around the same range as like XRP, for an example, or even XLM. So I think that going into the next major cycle, it could pull an XRP type run and go to about like $3, if you will. Is that a possibility? Sure, it is. Is it going to be a reality? The chances are pretty low. I would say, a dollar could very well be in place, or maybe even $2, but we have to wait to see what actually happens. Again, this is a big bet in regards to like the tech stack and what it is disrupting, which is trade finance. Casper. Now, Casper is one token that I have been watching for and really kind of talking about for a very long time. They have been making a ton of moves in regards to listings, updates, partnerships, etc. It is years ahead of Ethereum 2.0 tech. It is touted as the real Ethereum 3.0, and I've also even said that it is the real Ethereum 3.0. It's working with Fortune 500 companies, governments, and a lot more. The issue with Casper, again, if you are focused on tokenomics, is that it doesn't have a max supply, and it does have an 8% year-over-year inflationary mechanism. The good news is that you could also stake it and earn about like 13% or 12%, I think it is now. Again, tokenomics aren't too bad. Like if you are going off the fully diluted market cap here, it's sitting at about 330 million. Market cap itself is sitting at about 176 million. Currently, the price is sitting at about almost 3 cents. If you go and look at the all-time high, I think that this all-time high is pretty realistic at like $1.36. I think that that could very well morph into reality, but I am looking at some higher price targets for Casper. I'm more so like a long-term investor on some of these tech stacks simply because I see the value proposition behind them. I think that Casper long-term, like I said, is going to be very successful. In the next cycle, I do think that it is going to be very successful as well. I could definitely see like $2 to $4 being a reality, but we have to wait to see. Again, price predictions don't mean much at all. It's just where I personally see it going. That's why I will say, like, I think that these will net me $10 million in overall profits, but we have to wait and see. Now, my biggest bet overall tech stack wise, not value wise, again, like these are not in order at all, is QNT. Why? Because I'm looking at interoperability. Remember, crypto will be nothing without interoperability, so Quant is the core project behind all of these. That's why I do say here, like, use case application is true interoperability between crypto and the legacy markets, the king. I will say this, Quant has the best tokenomics out of every single token in this video. If you care about tokenomics, you should care about Quant. Quant is a giant. It is a giant even at $104. It is a giant at, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. If there was a token in this market that, besides Bitcoin, I could see going to $100,000, it would be Quant. Why? Because of the tech stack behind it. Again, will it go to $100,000 in the next cycle? No. Will it go to $10,000 in the next cycle? Possibly. But I am more so looking at about like $4,500 to about $5,000. I think that that is a little bit more realistic, and I could definitely see that happening. But the tech stack behind Quant makes it extremely interesting. If you do want to learn more about it, I have 100 or so videos on it, probably even more than that, that makes this one very lucrative as an investment vehicle. And I know that a lot of people will say like it is on Ethereum, it is, blockchain agnostic, so it can move from any, blockchain to another. And also, by the way, Quant is more of like an operating system, so definitely do a lot more research on it if you guys don't know about it. The next one is XRP, Cross-Border King, Big Settlement Bet, Domino Effects from Clarity. So yes, this is a token that is connected directly to the banking sector and the cross-border payment, market, which is a $156 trillion market by itself. It is a big settlement, bet. We are betting that we will see a settlement, and that settlement will unlock a ton of things in regards to XRP adoption, on-demand liquidity use case, and corridors launching. We will see a lot more, listings for XRP on some major exchanges. There's a lot to go into this, but it is more of a bet than it is a big play, because we still need regulatory clarity for XRP for it to truly be utilized to its extent. But again, does it need the US? Not technically. It can still operate outside of the US. It is still well in the top 10, even after, a lawsuit and after being, delisted from its platforms. I think that this is a very strong token, and I do think that it is a blue chip, token similar to Algorand down there. But let's move on to Alliance Block. So Alliance Block is a big bet to me because it is bridging the traditional financial market to the DeFi sector. It does have a partnership with the London Stock Exchange, which I do think that they are trying to digitize, equities and the stock market. But also, it has so many other partnerships within the space to like Quant, LCX, so many other projects as well. And it really is focused on a ton of things within the DeFi and traditional financial markets. I think that this one is extremely undervalued. Tokenomics total supply is about 1 billion, so it does have a ton of upside. Currently sitting at about 5 cents. It did hit about $1.20 in the last major cycle. So I think that this, comparing it to most tokens, is so undervalued. We look at where the price, chart is currently, and you go back in time, and it looks like, you're getting into this back in like November of 2020 pricing. So I think that this one is a massive opportunity for anybody that wants to look into like utility grade tokens. This one is very special to me. And also, the Graph, big bet from 2021. This was a token that I held during 2021 and made a ton of money off of. It is touted as the Google of crypto. Huge opportunity to unlock Web3's data. They do have these subgraphs that do unlock a ton of information. You could see a lot of data within, smart contracts and things like that. It really is, focused on the Web3's, market and data itself. And I think that this is going to be a huge opportunity as well. And when you go and look at back on the all-time chart, like this thing almost hit about $3. I'm pretty sure it hit close to $3 or, even, let me see real quick. Yeah, so $2.88 back in 2 years ago. So like the upside on this one is very special. And I do hold a significant amount of these tokens in regards to the Graph. I think that this one is going to be very special. Again, total supply about 10 billion. Max supply is about like 10 billion itself. And circulating supply is about 69%, so 6.9 billion. Fully diluted, it's about 1.2 billion. Market cap is almost like 1 billion. So this one I'm playing into the idea of like data, Web3, DeFi itself, and stuff like that. So I think that this one is going to be a big play. We will definitely have to wait and see. Again, like all of these are not going to be big winners. These are big plays that I'm trying to play into to see what's going to happen. I love, tech. I love when you can look at the utility behind some of these tokens and like you could really kind of see what's morphing into reality. I think that all of these tokens have incredible value propositions behind them. And Algorand, again, blue chip project with huge connections to retail, CBDCs, and much more. There's so much happening with Algorand. I love the team. The tokenomics are not bad at all. Like 10 billion max supply, 6.92 billion out in circulation, 69%, very similar to, the Graph, except, this one is a little bit higher valued right now currently, which is, again, like when we really kind of look at, the Graph, I could definitely see this thing, performing very well. I mean, this is sitting at number 56. Algorand is sitting at number 31. Does Algorand have better tech than the Graph? It's possible. But again, like they both have their own use case applications. I think that Algorand, sitting at about like almost a $2.2 billion market cap, almost 2 billion fully diluted, is still very undervalued for what it is focused on. The all-time high, I don't really go off the chart on CMC. It's very broken. Is about $3.28. So almost I mean, like, this is almost a 10x opportunity from our price right now. Again, do I think that that is going to be the stopping point? Absolutely not. I think that this could easily hit like $10 plus in regards to like double digits. That's what I personally am hoping for with Algorand going into the next major cycle. It does have a ton of retail demand behind it with a lot of its partnerships within the sports sector. So I do think that Algorand definitely holds a big key in my portfolio. And also, LCX, massive bet. I honestly think that this could morph into the next BNB if it is done correctly. And what do I mean by that? Well, if they can market it, if they could build it, correctly, if they could really kind of focus on what they are doing. It is extremely regulated, by the way. It is a very extremely regulated exchange. We've talked about this many times on this channel. If you guys do want to learn more about LCX, you guys are more than welcome to watch all of the other videos. But this does have a massive project stack behind it. There's a ton of project offerings on their platform. And again, like this one, similar to Alliance Block, like this is sitting at about a $40 million market cap, almost a $50 million fully diluted, almost 1 billion total supply, 771.6 million in the circulating supply. I mean, if you go and look at the all-time chart, this is almost a 10x from here. If you go and look at the actual pricing, like I said, the chart is a little bit rough. This is sitting at about 70.5 cents. So it's over a 10x from our current level right now. I think that this one is very special. I think that this is going to be a very special asset going into the next major cycle, sitting at number 434. The upside on this one, I think, is very lucrative. And like I said, if it could become the next major BNB, like for an example, that would be monstrous. Again, like the tokenomics are a little bit different. I'm not expecting it to hit like $300 or anything like that. The tokenomics are a little bit rough comparing it to, LCX, but it's kind of right up its alley. I mean, like when we look at a lot of these exchange tokens, they don't provide a ton of, value. LCX has a ton of utility behind it. So I do think that LCX going into the next major cycle is a massive bet, but I think that it is a bet that I feel comfortable making. And last but not least, Aleph Zero, A0. This is a token that I've been watching and talking about for a little bit of time now. Not a long time. We just recently started talking about A0. It's very similar to HBAR with its ABFT consensus. It's not the same as ABFT on HBAR, but it does have great tokenomics compared to HBAR, better tokenomics than HBAR. They do have great technology, and they have been building very quickly, for them launching recently. I think it's like November when they launched. This has incredible tokenomics. Like I said, total supply sitting at about 300 million. The self-reported circulating supply, 76.4 million. I always don't like the self-reported, circulating supply, but after doing a lot more research on Aleph Zero, I am able to trust this project for the most part. When we go and look at the all-time chart here, it did hit about $3.08. Go look at the actual price down here. It hit about like $3.09. This is back in April, 5 months ago, right? By the way, during a bear market. How crazy is that? Like this launched during a bear market. So again, it never experienced a bull run. I'm very excited for this going into the next major cycle. I think that this could hit around like $30 to $50. That's, perfect to me, honestly. Like if you can get in on this, like, around like $1, that's huge. I'm definitely watching to see if we can get into this $1. We've been buying this for a while. Recently, it did break down below $1. We were a buyer there, but just buying around $1 just feels comfortable to me. Going back to the summertime, I did kind of miss this. I wish that I can go back to this, price back here and buy. But hey, it is what it is. You can't always get them when they are extremely undervalued. I was really kind of looking at other projects during that time. But Aleph Zero is a huge project, in my opinion, that will provide a ton of value going into the next major cycle. And that is my top 10 utility holdings. Those are, to me, like, when we really kind of look at this, I do think that this portfolio, now again, I'm not going to disclose how much money I have invested here. It's not a very large amount for anybody out there that, is thinking like, oh, he probably has, $1 million invested or something crazy like that. No, it's not. In fact, I think that the amount of money that I have invested into this portfolio itself is right up the alley for anyone that could afford it, honestly. Like, I really do think that most individuals out there could afford how much money I did put into this portfolio. I think that going into the next major cycle, you never know what's going to happen. Tokens could 100x, tokens could 50x. Again, the amount of money that you can make during a bear market going into the bull run is enormous. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on it because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. It's been Nick. Peace out, guys.